Hi, I'm Debbie Gannon, and along with my husband Mark, we run a holistic Tai Chi Qigong training academy here in the UK, right in the Midlands in Hinckley. We run sessions ourselves to deliver Tai Chi Qigong to people who come along to our sessions, but we also run an academy to train other people to become session leaders, to lead their own sessions, to share the wonderful art of Qigong as a health art. And I'm going to take you through a movement now to show you all the various layers of one particular movement and why I'm so passionate about Qigong as a health art. There's only so many layers I'll be able to cover, but I'm sure from hopefully today, you'll get a real essence of the depth and layers that are available. So here we go, we'll start. So if you're going to join in physically, just make sure you've got plenty of space and you're not going to trip over on anything. What we're going to be doing is we're going to be just moving slightly, just like this, and we're going to have our arms like this. So you don't need too much space, but you do need some space. Good, okay. So from here, we're going to look first of all at posture and stances. So posture is really, really important because the way we stand supports all body systems. So physically, standing correctly keeps the joints in the right place and helps to build the correct muscle structure as our own scaffolding to, again, protect joints and to help keep everything flowing. So if there are arthritis, problems with joints already, then what we can do is help that stopgap any worse. So from here, this is our hip width, and you can see, hopefully, that my feet are facing forward and parallel. A lot of people stand with their feet out, which actually twists the knees. People have their knees coming in, and that collapses the body and can create all sorts of problems, physically, internally, joints, the list goes on. Now, obviously, we can't go from standing like that to standing like this instantly. So little and often, move in a little bit, get used to that, let your body settle, move in a little bit more, let that settle, and then move in a little bit more. Nothing should hurt. Some things might feel a little bit like they're working softly, a little bit, so little and often. And I mean perhaps holding a structure without pain for a count of 5 times a day. So the body gets used to adjusting over a period of time, nice and slowly, working in harmony with the body, never dragging the body, screaming and kicking. So there we are. That's why we stand in hip width, to put the ankles, knees, hips all in line. Some people call it shoulder width because the feet are basically under the shoulders. But if we're standing too wide, everything will just lean in and pressure on the hips and knees. And if we're standing too narrow, then everything's all squashed. So we have to find our own comfortable hip width. And generally, it's just where you feel nice and solid. And I think you get an idea from where I'm standing with my structure, roughly where that is. So if I was a bit wider, you'd see it's a bit too wide. So play with it. We're not really going to talk about the knees other than to say that the knees themselves are always soft. They're always just soft. And we never really want to do much with the knees except just allow them to relax. We're going to talk about that now. The rest of it, everything else comes from our middle bit, the bit around the hips and the pelvis. And this is how we should be all of the time, not just while we're doing our Qigong. So this is how we should be walking, how we're doing our ironing, chopping vegetables, drinking a G&T, whatever it is you're doing, we should always be in good alignment. So feet as parallel as you can get them. Knees, just let them be soft. If you don't know how to do that, because a lot of people lock their knees, which as you can see, arches the back, creates all sorts of back problems. So if you just allow them to be soft, if you can't, gently lock them and then let it go. And that's what we're looking for. And the next bit happens through here. So if you pull the tummy in, as if you're going to attach the tummy to the back of your spine, very gently, you'll see my hips just move, and you can see that opens up my back and takes me from this uncomfortable locking position, which is really not a good position to be in, to a much more open position through my back, allowing my spine to lengthen, allowing it to open, but still keeping its natural form, not forcing it. So this, sometimes called pelvic tilt, this, as we took, pelvis just sits into the right place, and then the knees, as you can see my knees, they soften. So that's how we get the knees to move. All comes from here and being steady from the feet. So if we were to look at a very simple stance like this, so we could be calling it hip width, some call it horse, some styles call it bear stance, but this is this neutral stance. If you have your feet solid, pull the tummy in, and the last thing is what's happening with the head. So we do need to use our neck muscles in our head. If I don't, you can see that my neck is quite forward, and that's very common. And if you look ahead here, my head looks nice and straight, but from the side, you can see that my head is forward. So once my feet are in place and I tuck, I bring the chin in and I lift myself up from the back of the head here in this kind of motion, and I hold myself up through here, through the back of the head. Some people say having a string on the head and pulling them up from the crown, but remember the crown is at the back of the head. So when we're lifting up from the back, it's this crown here. And what we're never doing is lifting the chin this way. When you lift the chin this way, we actually compress all the vertebrae in the back of the neck, compressing the back of the neck, preventing blood flow into the brain. It's just uncomfortable, really. So we don't want to do that. So already we're seeing that just basic structure has a huge impact. So feet, gentle tilt, putting the pelvis into the correct alignment. So the very bottom of the torso is pointing straight down. And then we lift up through the top of the head. And this may feel very uncomfortable, but if you're not used to it, it will. Little and often. Count to 5, let it go. Set an alarm on your phone. Beep every hour. Beep on the phone, feet, pelvis, lift. Just breathe, calm, count to 5, let it go. And within 2 weeks, you'll start to really feel that it gets easier and your body gets used to it, and it becomes that you can do it for longer. And hopefully, eventually, you'll do it for longer, more often, and then every time you are actually doing anything, whether you're sitting at the computer, we still should be lifted up. This is our natural position, our natural stance, how we should be all of the time. Okay, so that's quite hard work. So if anything's feeling a bit stiff, just let it gently and calmly, just let it move. Okay, so if that's hurt you already, then we've done too much. We don't want anything to cause any pain. So if anything begins to feel uncomfortable, stop, please. Just watch the video and then take on board some of the tips and gently practice through. If you're feeling things starting to get tight, again, stop before anything hurts. It's really, really important. The whole essence of the way Mark and I deliver the Qigong is to ease the body and to smooth the body. So over time, everything becomes more flexible and malleable. We don't stretch or push or demand the body does anything, because it just puts more tension in. And it's just our way of working with the body. So here we go with the rest of the movement. So as best you can without any discomfort, feet, sit back. Some people talk about maybe as you pull back and sit, as if you're sitting slightly on a little wall, ledge, so your bottom's just sitting there and it feels quite comfortable. And you can see that's already given a nice straight back up through my head. And then we're going to let the body rise and fall very, very gently, holding the structure through the middle, holding the head. We push down through the feet and just let the body rise ever so gently. And then when we let it come back and soften, what we're not going to do is let everything collapse into itself and compress and close. So when we come back, we pull the tummy in and sit back on our wall. And you can see my knees soften as I sit back. So even when I come back down, I'm not closing and collapsing the body. I'm sitting back, which opens up the knees, lengthens here, opens up through the hips, and helps to lengthen the spine. So when I push down through the feet and come up, holding this in place, working these muscles through here, that lengthens everything nicely up through here, opening up the reproductive area, the intestine area, nice opening up through the hips, through here, but very gently. You can see I'm not stretching and forcing, just pushing down through the feet, holding my structure, letting everything lengthen. And then when I sit back, I'm still allowing everything to lengthen, but in a different direction. Excuse me, just for a sip of water. Okay, so it's the techniques with Tai Chi Qigong that make a big difference. So common errors, locking the knees, arching the back on the way up, and then coming back down, doing this and letting the knees fall forward, which is going to compress the knees and create knee pain. It's also going to compress the ankles and hurt the ankles. It's going to put all the weight down here and not offer any of the benefits of the movement. It'll just hurt. So we don't want that. So it's that small technique of sitting gently back. It doesn't matter how far. The feet stay on the floor. If you feel your toes lifting, you've tried to sit back too far. It's just where can you sit back, pulling the tummy in and stay nice and steady. Good. In true essence, we hold the structure and then use the breath to help make it happen. And we move to the breath rather than breathe to the movement. So when we're nice and steady, we're rooted, we breathe in, holding the structures, let the breath rise. Now we're not going to try and let the breath come all the way up here like this, because that would just be awful. It'll give you a headache, it'll make everything stir up, it'll make you feel a bit and sometimes dizzy or nauseous. The breath really, we're thinking about only letting it come to about here. We just breathe into the belly. So we sit gently, breathe into the belly, and let that gentle expansion. And by keeping your head in place, that will keep your shoulders down. So try that. Try, let your head go and take a gentle in-breath. And you'll feel that everything can just wibble around anywhere at the top. Then now pull the chin in, lift that up and feel how that holds your shoulders in place. Take an in-breath now. And you'll feel it coming into here and here. There's a slight rise here, but everything is contained in here. And that's where we want the breath. Because as the lungs, the diaphragm drops, as the lungs expand, that then uses that force to gently massage these lovely digestive, middle digestive organs through here. So the liver and gallbladder, the spleen and pancreas across this side. The stomach's somewhere in the middle here, but what we don't want to do is upset the stomach. We want to keep it nice and steady inside. We don't want any of that reflux, that acid, but we want to keep it nice and open. So when we're breathing in, then these organs get a nice gentle massage through here, and the stomach's nicely supported in the middle. And that's one of the other reasons for the acid in the stomach, why we would sit like this in this kind of position, holding this strength of structure through the body. So when we're coming up and down, this stays strong and we don't let anything collapse. And it's as we collapse that allows this to collapse and opens up valves and creates trouble really with the stomach and the stomach acids, and we don't want that. And equally with the gallbladder as well, passing bile backwards and forwards. If we collapse all of that, it's not really very helpful. The liver is our detox organ. So again, if it's all squashed and collapsed, it can't really function and help with that detoxing for us. So it's really important that we always just breathe in and open and have this lovely open structure all of the time. So it helps to protect the inside of our body, as well as building the structure and strength for the outside of our body, the muscles, tendons, to protect the joints, and so on and so on. Excellent. Right, so much benefit in just being in the right alignment, and I'm hoping that's starting to feed through with this through this video. Right, so the next thing we're going to do is we're going to look at movement from the inside out. We can do massage. There's lots of different types of massage, creating vibration. There's cupping, which is suction. There's acupuncture, which changes the energy going around inside. There are lots of techniques which go from the outside in, but often deep inside of us, there's maybe scar tissue, there's maybe blockages, there might be weak tendons, the structure around the cells of the cell walls around all of the organs might be weak, and that all happens inside. So this initial structure of holding through here is going to help hold all your organs in place and prevent prolapses, which is got to be beneficial for all of us. So now what we're going to do is we're going to look at a way of moving from the inside out rather than trying to go from the outside in. And we do that by holding the alignment, and we're going to do a very gentle turn, spiral. The words and vocabulary can be misleading. We're basically going to move the tummy button slightly from one side to the other. So keeping the hips still, I'm going to move my tummy button slightly that way. You see my head is being held up, so it moves in line with my spine. And then I'm going to move slightly back, slightly to one side and slightly back. So we'll just try that a couple of times. I am sitting back, which keeps my hips still, and I'm not trying to go too far. So I'm not trying to go all the way around here, which is going to throw my body out. I am just moving a tiny bit this way and a tiny bit back, tiny bit this way and a tiny bit back. So we're moving the top half of the body while we keep the bottom half still. So you might find, if that's a bit tricky, it's useful to do it in front of the mirror if you can. It might be worth trying to do it sitting down. Again, maybe sit on the edge of your seat so you're nice and upright, bottom still tucked under, so we hold everything strong through here. And now try and turn from the waist and try and move from here. And sitting on a chair helps actually to keep your hips still until you find all the right movement and all the right muscle structure and that memory and neuron connection, so we know what we're doing. Things to be mindful of: moving from the shoulder, which is common, so we're not doing that, we're just moving from the tummy button. You can put your hands there if you want, and might stop you moving from your shoulders. And it's just gentle and release. Gentle and release, gentle and release. And that is a movement in itself, is easing all the muscles up through the spine. And if you do it often enough, really gently, really slowly, nice and smoothly. Then it can ease and support the body. And it's doing it for quite a long time, so it could be 5, 10, 15 minutes, where you are going to get the most benefit. Doing very gentle movements, almost as if you can't feel it. So if you are turning from your waist and you feel a stretch, you've gone too far. You're putting tension in at the other end. So we're just looking to where you can move, holding the head, keeping this in the right place, without really feeling it. And that is quite difficult. It's not as easy as it sounds. And you can see that my head is moving with my body. What I'm not doing is doing it independently. So the whole top half of the body is moving as one thing. One of the things we're practicing is separating the body. So we're just working one part of it. So when we do it standing up and we sit and we're strong and rooted, we're working the bottom half to be strong and steady, but only enough effort so we feel really steady through the feet. This is building up our muscle structure for help with stamina, for help with fall prevention. Again, we're building the muscle structure to help support all of the joints. And then we're just trying to empty the top half of the body, apart from this very gentle holding of structure, and just moving with absolute lightness. So you can see that my hips aren't moving and my knees aren't moving, not in this exercise. You may see exercises like that on YouTube or on videos. We're not doing that because what we're trying to do is get this separation from the top half to the bottom half. So why do we need to do this? I've already mentioned that it's going to help work the spine. I'm just going to do it very slowly. If you've had enough, by all means stop. And I'll tell you the benefits as I continue. So we've said we're going to loosen the muscles up through the spine. And that is going to ease the vertebrae, so that any vertebrae that are out of line, it's going to just help those go back into place, providing we are holding the right structure. If you walk around all scrumpled up, those vertebrae are never going to be in the right place. You have to work on your structure and the easing and supporting of the muscles. So once the spine is working nicely and opening nicely, that will support the central nervous system, so those messages up to the brain and back down again. It's also going to take away some of the stress from the body. If we're all crumpled up, the messages going up to the brain are the body telling it it's not comfortable, it's stressed, it's blocked, and the brain sending all sorts of weird chemicals around to add to that stress, to boost the body and adrenaline and goodness knows what else. So by opening the body up and just moving smoothly and calmly, we're just helping the body feel smooth and calm, helping those signals from your central nervous system move up and down, and then softly move out through the body and back up again. So everything starts communicating and everything starts flowing. Next benefit, we are working this sort of middle digestion. The Eastern theory is that we have these three areas, sometimes called the triple burner, the three areas, the three dantian, but there are lots of different ways to explain it. The way I'm talking about it right now is we have a part of the body that deals with what comes in, breathing, food. We have a part of the body that mushes it all up and sorts it all out. And then we have parts of the body which releases it. So it's our logistic system. What comes in, sorting it all out, feeding the body and clearing out the toxins. So this gentle movement here is supporting this middle digestion here. The liver and gallbladder with the cleansing and everything that needs to do. And the spleen, which is really important for our blood supply. And all of that very gentle thing here. We're also supporting the kidneys in the back here. This very gentle backwards and forwards is slowly massaging the kidneys as well, which is in Chinese medicine theory, supports our immune system, our womb. It helps with the bones in the body, the hair on our head, lots and lots of different things. Yeah, reproductive system, urinary system, all to do with the kidney energy and the kidneys themselves and how they function through the body. So very important. So all of those benefits just from standing in good alignment and doing this smooth posture. We've got one more level to add to this, and this is the building block we've done now. So now we're going to hold the palms out. Just going to be still for a moment. We're going to let the hands just connect to the floor and just be calm and steady. Some of you may have worked with energy before. If you have, you may become aware of sensations between the palms as they connect to the floor. You might feel tingling. You might feel heat. You might feel throbbing. You might feel cold. You might feel almost like you're on a bouncy castle. There are lots of sensations, and whatever sensation you experience is right. That is your sensation. What we're doing in this position is we're connecting the palms into the ground, into the yin energy, which is often called the water element, and everything that brings us. The feet are connecting down into there, the lower torso is connecting down into there. And this is peacefulness, calm, stillness. It's what we get from a really good night's sleep. When you climb into bed and it's dark and you're snuggled and you just sleep. That is really what this is bringing us. The head is connecting upwards into the sky, into the sunshine. And that brings us everything that sunshine brings us. We know how it feels when the sun comes out, how it lifts our spirit. We feel much brighter. We feel more creative. We want to laugh more. And we're always looking for balance between the two. So the head is always connecting up. We have 3 points always connecting down, which explains how strong this energy is, because it needs 3 points to hold it down. And the palms, the energy centers in the palms are movable. So they're almost, if we were a bath, these are connecting to hot and cold taps, bringing in a little bit more of each, just taking the body through a nice bit of rebalancing energetically. So we become neutral and calm and balanced. So at the moment we're connecting down, what we're going to do to start with is we're just going to keep the arms out, smooth. Just turn from the waist and let your arms come with you. Turn slowly back. And then we're going to do the same to the other side. And again, my hips are keeping still. And I'm moving slowly, smoothly, calmly. And it's this movement in a way that we want to be. So I might not be feeling calm. I might not be feeling smooth. But I want to be that way. So I behave that way. I tell my body how I want to be. And hopefully we start to embed that within ourselves. And that smooth calmness becomes part of everything we do. And then when we find ourselves feeling a bit anxious or swirly or rushing, we remind ourselves, let's move slowly, smoothly. We can move fast and be smooth and calm. We just have to be it, tell ourselves it. So we're embedding this feeling of calm, smooth, steady. It's lovely. And we're just staying in the center of ourselves, keeping everything within our own comfort zone. So we have one more little bit to add to this movement. And that, I'm going to come back to the center, is as I turn to the side, I'm going to spiral my arm, but think of it more as the whole arm is spiraling, almost like getting hold of a towel and turning it. So the movement comes from here. My hand stays nice and soft. I don't use my hand to do anything. So as I turn from the waist, I'm now going to spiral the whole arm. So my hand is moving, but the movement comes from here. And I'm just going to spiral it to wherever it's comfortable. And you can see my hand isn't up, because if I try and go up, my shoulder lifts, I block all my lymph glands and all my breast tissue, and it's just really uncomfortable. So from here, I just move, spiral softly. I've still got this lovely space in my armpits. My shoulder feels nice and comfortable. And then I unspiral as I come back to the center. So we're going to turn from the waist, relax the shoulders, soft spiral right through the arm, and then soft spiral back again. So now we've got the whole body connected, because as you turn from the waist and spiral, I bet you're having to use your feet to keep you solid on the floor. You're having to use these muscles, but just enough. And then the spiral will actually carry that turn through the waist, just that little bit more. And then you're also working all of the tendons through the shoulders. But again, we want it to be tiny to start with. Just slowly, slowly back. Calm, smooth, steady. So the palms are connecting into the floor, to that lovely yin energy, that nurture. And then we have one palm grounding us, and the other one just connects up into the sky, bringing in sunshine. So we're gently taking the body through a soft, calming, energetic rebalancing, while easing all of the tendons, while loosening the spine, softly massaging all our internal organs. And if we do this long enough and very, very gently, then the movement will just get deeper and deeper inside the body. And you might start to feel hot as tight tissue inside the body begins to release and blood starts to flow back into it. If you're a hot person, you might find it a little bit uncomfortable. If you do get a bit hot and flustered, just come back to a stop and do whatever you feel you need. If you're a cold person, you might feel yourself starting to warm up through to the fingertips. And then in time, you might feel yourself warming up right down into the feet. Because everything is working now. This isn't just moving from the arms. We're moving from here and the feet. And we spiral the arms. So the arms aren't really doing anything at all. The feet are working, the legs are working, the core's working, but just enough. And the idea is that we do lots of very gentle repetitions so that everything feels smooth and relaxed and easy. So if you feel tight or a stretch or a pull, make the next one much smaller, more gentle, until you find a way of moving, which is really effortless from the top half, and just enough effort through the bottom half to keep you steady. Effortless, strong, really beneficial movements. So there isn't really a part of the body that isn't being worked in some way. It's very gentle. The breath with this, you might want to breathe in and out. In fact, if you spiral your arm and breathe in, you'll find that you'll turn from the waist without you having to do it. Breathing out. So we don't want to hold the breath or force the breath. So we could, maybe you've got a short breath, so there's your in, and there's your out. If you've got a long breath, but your body's tight, then you've still got lots of in-breath. Then just breathe normally through the whole movement until your body becomes more flexible. And that might take weeks or months. Just be patient. We're just going to do one more to each side. When you come back, just into your arms maybe. If you need to, just move your feet slightly, but do it in a way which is really calm. I often talk about being in a snow globe and how we move through life and everything we do. We want to keep all that snow on the floor. We don't want to spiral it. And that's quite a useful image to have if that's useful for you. It really helps me. So I hope that helps you. So just take a moment to be steady and maybe notice what sensations you are experiencing in your body. If you sigh, it just shows things are starting to relax. Could be your vagus nerve response, just bringing you out of fight or flight. Yawning's normal, sighing. Sometimes spontaneous tears or laughter. They're all releases of emotion that's been stuck inside our body. You might feel this nice tingling. I hope you feel calm. What I do hope is that you continue to practice this and maybe do it every day for 5 minutes. And just maybe some of people like to keep a journal, so you might like to do that. And just notice how you feel at the start. Maybe video yourself doing it on day 1, and then maybe video yourself doing it 3 months later, and just notice the difference and maybe how you feel and how you feel about the movement. It's a lovely, lovely movement. It is one of my favorites, and I hope you've enjoyed it. I hope you've enjoyed this session and got some benefit from it. There is so much more layers of Qigong and technique that I haven't really covered here, but I wanted to give you enough to really get into the essence of it and to enjoy something that you can do on a video and hopefully keep watching back as often as you like. So thank you very much. Enjoy the rest of the conference, and I hope to meet you all at some point in the future. Thank you.